Welcome to HealTV. I am your host, and today we need to talk about attaining peace in our lives. In a world filled with nonstop stimulation and unhealthy people, peace can be difficult to come by. People often believe that the path to peace runs through mystical spiritual practices shrouded in secrecy. There is enormous value in spiritual practice and philosophy, but the one that affects our peace the most is one that's so simple it's often overlooked. The path to peace is through acceptance. Before we examine that statement, let's clarify what acceptance means in this context. Doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior, doesn't mean tolerating mistreatment, doesn't mean not caring about things or that we do nothing. It doesn't mean agreeing with or approving of something. Acceptance means understanding what is. For example, you can accept something without liking or agreeing with it. Acceptance just means that you understand what or how something is. For example, if we accept someone for who they are, that doesn't mean we approve of their behavior, that we like the things that they're doing. It doesn't mean that we will tolerate mistreatment. It doesn't mean we're going to continue in a relationship with them. It means we understand that this is how this person is, even if we don't like it and even if we don't agree with it. When we can do that, we can deal with things as they are instead of living in denial or toxic hope. We can stop trying to reframe the relationship into something that it's not. We can stop waiting for the person to change and stop being hurt when they don't. The reason the path to peace is through acceptance is because so much of the stress and the suffering that we endure is caused by a refusal to accept other people and situations as they actually are. So much pain and misery is caused by the inability to accept things the way they are without trying to change them, reframe them, or pretend that they're something else. People resist reality for many reasons. The reality might be painful, might be unfair, might be difficult to understand, might be hard to believe. The problem is that resistance to reality doesn't change reality. Denial of facts does not change the reality of the facts. Things are what they are, and ignoring that does nothing but cause more problems. If you refuse to accept that your car is out of oil and you just keep driving it, eventually it's going to be ruined. Your denial of the facts of the situation has absolutely zero effect on the reality of the situation. All it did was handicap your ability to deal with it the way that you needed to deal with it, and the consequences of that were serious. It's the same with everything. Refusing to accept a painful reality does not stop it from being true. It doesn't stop us from being hurt by it. In fact, it only causes us to be hurt more in the end because every time reality asserts itself, it hurts us again. If we accepted it, it will hurt, but it won't keep hurting every time reality reasserts itself and defeats denial, which it will do over and over and over again. For example, if we're in a toxic relationship and we don't want to accept that because it would mean that the relationship would have to end, denial of the reality of the situation can only go so far. Things will continue to happen that will force us, even if just for a brief time, to come face to face with the true reality of the relationship or the other person. This will continue to hurt us over and over again because denial does not change reality and it doesn't protect us from the consequences of reality. Doesn't protect us from the consequences of refusing to deal with things as they actually are. In truth, it doesn't protect us from anything. Ignoring things doesn't make them go away, and refusing to accept reality does not change reality. Acceptance of the reality of the situation helps you deal with it appropriately, and it also helps you to move on and heal if you need to do so. Often when we find that people are stuck in their healing is because they're having difficulty accepting something. They may even be in denial of what has happened. Denial is an intellectual and emotional dishonesty with yourself that prevents all of the aforementioned things from happening. When we can accept a situation as it truly is, all of the stress and pain related to trying to control, change, and avoid the reality of the situation can be released. And what a relief that is. We can release the stress of trying to change and manage other people. We can release the stress of trying to change and manage outcomes that we have no control over. These things are an enormous source of stress for most people, and it's all totally unnecessary because you can't control what you don't control. This is another way acceptance leads to peace, learning to accept what we can and cannot control. So much stress in people's lives comes from trying to control other people, even if we don't realize that's what we're doing. A lot of times we don't. When we can learn to let go of the idea that we're controlling anything other than ourselves, because we're not, regardless of what we think, this is a huge step toward peace. We cannot control the thoughts, feelings, or actions of other people. We cannot make their choices for them. We cannot change their minds. We cannot force them to agree with us or see us a certain way. We cannot make other people do the right thing. We can't make them do what we want or give us anything if they refuse to do those things. Acceptance means giving up the idea that we can somehow control anything other than ourselves and our own choices. We cannot control the world or the people in it. We can only accept these things as they are, whether we like them or not, and deal with them accordingly. Remember, too, that when we want to change something that's within our power to change, we cannot do so until we have accepted the situation as it actually is. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. Acceptance is the key that unlocks it all. There are 5 basic principles that you can use to help you on the journey to acceptance and ultimately to peace. They are: something can be nothing other than what it is. I cannot force something or someone to be different. I cannot change or control anyone but myself. I cannot change things that are within my control until I accept them. I must give up trying to control everything. There can be fear involved in choosing acceptance over resistance, control, and denial. And it is a practice, meaning that it has to be chosen intentionally at first. But the peace that you will achieve in the end is so worth it. And achieving peace is what we are all about doing here at HealTV.